Sorry I haven't done a video for a while, but after talking to you last time and suggesting, like, you know, that what I believe COVID-19 really is a blood-borne pathogen. Something was perplexing me about the whole thing, you know what I mean? It attacks the autoimmune system, right? So with immunity, you need to have oxygen levels that are sufficient to fight any disease. But I couldn't quite understand why I had this notion or this thought that basically put COVID-19 attacks people more who have blood problems. So we look at lupus, diabetes, Antiphospholipid Syndrome, cancer, specifically leukemia. And I thought to myself, you know, the most of these people that have had underlying medical conditions. So if you have asthma, you obviously have shortness of breath. That means your lungs are not working properly, so your lungs are already depleted. So basically put, I thought to myself, why on earth is COVID attacking only certain conditions? And these conditions seem to have, obviously, blood oxygen levels that are quite low. So yesterday a friend of mine sent me a document. It's still waiting to be peer reviewed and everything else. But have a listen to this. This is from the 26th of October 2020. Across the world, immunologists who retooled their labs to join the fight against SARS-CoV-2 are furiously trying to explain why some people get so sick while others recovered unscathed. The pace is dizzying, but some clear trends have emerged. One area of focus has been the production of antibodies. Now, these antibodies are in your blood. They help you, you know, fight diseases. You know, your organs, your vital organs continue pumping. We have to get rid of this. One, powerful proteins capable of disabling and killing invading pathogens, like viruses. Of great concern has been the sporadic identification of so-called autoreactive antibodies that, instead of targeting diseases causing microbes, target the tissues of individuals suffering from severe cases of COVID-19. The tissues, the actual bits and pieces that make up you. So, you know, it's quite hard, really. I thought to myself, like, you know, Mark, you must be off your head to even think for 1 minute this has got anything to do with blood. But something didn't seem to make any sense. So anyway, listen to this. Early studies implicated. Now, early studies, we can go back to 18 months ago. That's 18 months where people were doing studies on antibodies within humans. But so far this year, $58 million has been spent on finding the reasons why certain people are dying of COVID-19 more than others. These autoantibodies in dangerous blood clots forming in patients admitted to intensive care. More recently, they have been linked to severe diseases, inactivating critical components of viral immune defences. in a significant fraction of patients with severe disease. As an immunologist within the Lawrence Center for Human Immunology of Emory University, I have been investigating the immune responses responsible for producing antibodies in COVID-19 under the direction of Dr. Ignacio Sanz. Our group has previously investigated immune responses contributing to autoantibody production in autoimmune disorders like lupus, which is a blood problem. Antiphospholipid syndrome, your blood clots. Leukemia, that's cancer of the blood. Yeah? They didn't want to tell you this, but they've spent $58 million so far this year on researching it. Not to tell you, me, or anyone else why on earth certain people with certain conditions, yeah, are being targeted by COVID-19. Now, these following articles are peer-reviewed articles, yeah. This first one is called Antiphospholipid Antibodies in Critically Ill Patients with COVID-19. When was it done? The 30th of June 2020. Now, immunologists have been coming out saying, no, it's not just a normal cold. Yeah? And they've been shut up. Shh, you mustn't say that. What you're saying is wrong. Yet the more the researching is going on, yeah, the more you will find if you look deep enough. Objective. Coagulopathy is one of the characteristics observed in critically ill patients with coronavirus disease 2019. Antiphospholipid antibodies, APLs, contribute to coagulopathy through their role in COVID-19 remains unclear. This study was undertaken to determine the prevalence and characteristics of APLs in patients with COVID-19. Now, these are patients that had Antiphospholipid Syndrome, and I know people who've got this. Yeah, I know people who've got this. When they say the vulnerable, are they saying the vulnerable who can fight the disease, or are they saying the vulnerable who have no idea that they are vulnerable? I would suggest the second part. These people had no idea that basically put, they are in danger of dying from COVID-19 because of anticoagulation. Means your blood does not thin itself enough to put as much oxygen into your vital organs to basically turn around and then oxygenate your whole body. Once your lungs have gone, because obviously it's airborne, yeah, so how do you catch it? Airborne. So once you've caught it airborne, it's now attacking your insides. It's not attacking your way of fighting diseases, it's attacking you. 100%. It's not attacking anything else, it's attacking every single vital organ you need. Livers, kidneys, lungs, heart, nostrils, ears. All these areas can be affected by COVID-19. But they don't want to tell you that. And the fact checkers turn around and say, oh, what you're saying is partly true. Partly true. What do you mean? What part is true? Tell us which part is true. Because I want to know. Everyone else has the right to know as well. What are we dealing with? We're dealing with something that can actually kill you from the inside. Results of the 66 COVID-19 patients in critical condition APLs were detected in 31, that's 47%. Antiphospholipid antibodies were not present among COVID-19 patients who were not in critical condition. The IgA antibody was the most common observed APL in patients with COVID-19 and was present in 28.8%, 19 to 66 people, of the critically ill patients. Antiphospholipid antibodies emerged 35 to 39 days after disease onset. Self-isolate for 14 days. Yeah? But 35 to 39 days afterwards, these things are going to get out of hand. It's going to attack you. Now, I said to people, I feel like I've had COVID-19. Back in March when they actually locked us all down, I had this awful stinking cold. Couldn't get rid of it. No sense of smell, no nothing whatsoever. And I was like, alright, fair enough. So I self-isolated for 14 days. 3 months later, I was seriously ill indoors. Had no idea why. And I brought up blood. And I mean, I brought up blood. And I was like, where's this come from? It was on my chest. I thought, why am I bringing up blood? Is this it? Is this it? Am I going? Is that what? But if you can't get rid of that because your blood coagulates, yeah, because it's thicker. What it means is your blood is thicker than mine. So I may have got rid of what was attacking me. That's my theory. People don't believe me, but you know, that is my theory. But this tells me that if you have blood that thickens and really thickens, you are more vulnerable than I ever will be. You look at lupus. Look at cancer. Yeah? What does cancer do? It attacks. It literally attacks your vital organs until you no longer are able to control it or fight it. You just give up. But these people who have antiphospholipid syndrome, lupus, diabetes, leukemia, they're the ones that are at risk. But they won't tell you that. This is from, as I said, June this year. So all these people are doing all these things and no one knows. They're not telling you the truth. They don't want to tell you the truth. Yeah? Hang on, we're working on it, it says. Yeah? Right. Auto-antibodies against type IFNs in patients with life-threatening COVID-19. What? There's more. If I was to tell you, I found over 1,500 peer-reviewed journal articles just with this one purpose of finding out about blood antibodies and everything else. Would you be shocked? I don't think you will. This one was done with the help of 109 individuals. The genetics underlying severe COVID-19. The immune system is complex and involves many genes, including those that encode cytokines known as interferons. Individuals that lack specific interferons can be more susceptible to infectious diseases. Furthermore, The autoantibody system dampens IFN responses to prevent damage from pathogen-induced inflammation. 2 studies now examine the likelihood that genetics affects the risk of severe coronavirus disease 2019 through components of this system. See this perspective by Beck and Aksenjevich. Used a candidate gene approach and identified patients with severe Covid-19 who have mutations in genes involved in the regulation of type 1 and 3 interferons immunity. They found enrichment of these genes in patients and conclude that genetics may determine the clinical course of the infection. Inter-individual clinical variability is vast in humans infected with severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus COVID-19, ranging from silent infection to rapid death. If you think about how many people have died of this and they've gone into hospital, and I thought, well, you know, I've got something. I know I've got something. And 6 days later, they're dead. They went in there to get cured, but there was no cure. And this is where, you know, all these people have no idea. You know, when Bill Gates turned around and said he wanted to change your gene pool and turn you into something different, whether it be chimpanzee, monkey or whatever, as you've heard in, you know, and I mentioned that this is one of the main ingredients in this vaccine. I mentioned it 3 months ago. Now they're telling everybody it's in it. Because if they don't change your gene pool, will COVID-19 go away? No. Because it doesn't attack anything else except your vital organs. It will attack your vital organs. People think it doesn't exist, and a mask isn't going to stop it. Yeah? A mask is not going to stop it. During the Spanish flu, and this is a fact, more people died from bacterial infections on the masks that they were wearing than those who died of the actual flu. That's a fact. You can look it up. Research it. Do yourself a favour. Get out there and find the information you need. What worries me more than anything else is that people are not doing their own research on this. And maybe I'm probably doing too much. But I have friends who have these conditions. And they don't know that they are a ticking time bomb. Yeah? Why do you think they are now trying out different diabetes drugs on COVID-19 patients? Why? Because basically those drugs are keeping those people alive. It's not rocket science. You don't have to be a professor to understand this. I mean, I use my academic credentials to actually find these articles because I was concerned that some of my friends were looking a lot less like themselves. They were lethargic all the time. Come on, let's go and do something. No, I can't. Can't be bothered. Too knackered. And I'm like, no one's got any get up and go anymore. But they all had a similar cold to me, which I now believe was Covid-19. And they were more susceptible to it because they had these underlying conditions. Antiphospholipid syndrome, leukemia, yeah, lupus, diabetes. They're the vulnerable ones. And they have no idea that they are. Because the governments of the world have concluded that we're not going to tell anyone about this. But we will pump $58 million into researching it. More than 1,500 peer-reviewed journal articles. One was released, as I said, on the 26th of October. That's waiting to be peer-reviewed. You can guarantee it's going to get through. But the problem is, this person decided to tell everyone which conditions were more susceptible to Covid-19 than any other. It breaks my heart, really, because, you know, these are friends. Right. Now, this is a follow-on from the other one. Lawrence Center for Human Immunology. The Lawrence Center for Human Immunology, led by Emory Division of Rheumatology Director Ignacio Zantz, who I mentioned earlier. The overall goal of the Lawrence Center for Human Immunology is to understand the immunological and molecular mechanisms responsible for human autoimmune. That means you automatically make yourself immune to whatever it is that's fighting you. You understand that, yeah? Inflammatory and allergic diseases. This is this year, you know. The Lawrence Center studies both the innate and adaptive arms of the immune response and the mutual regulation of two components. In the larger picture, the knowledge of immune functions derived from the studies pursued at the Lawrence Center also provide important insight into multiple other human conditions, including transplantation, cancer, and the immune response to infections and vaccinations. If you've already got these problems, and then I give you COVID-19, you're on a lose-lose. Well, you're on the road to nowhere, really. But what was this study about? This study was about rheumatoid arthritis. Yep. Bones structures. That little bit in between your bones and everything else. They found... Hang on, let's see if we can find it. They found that basically put rheumatoid arthritis... I've got arthritis, osteoarthritis, but those with severe arthritis, like rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis is just pain, and you know your bones are just melting away or whatever. But they found basically that even these patients were susceptible, which is quite worrying, really. So what is an antibody? What does it do? See, the problem is we talk about antibodies and everything else, but does anyone really know what an antibody is? An antibody is a class of protein called an immunoglobulin which is immunoglobulin, which is made by specialized white blood cells to identify and neutralize material foreign to an immune system. Shaped like white, antibodies contain a high variable region in their fork, which allows the immune system to tailor its response to a countless range of threats. This unique makeup of different antibodies allows them to bind specifically to complex chemical signatures known as antigens, which are found on the outer layers of invasive pathogens. So when I said Covid-19 was a real serious pathogen, it is. And there's your proof. When I said it affected the blood, it does. So you look at leukemia patients and that, their red blood cells are higher than their white blood cells, and they try and regulate that, or their white blood cells, or there's too many white blood cells to red blood cells, and it's fighting itself. So you have to regulate that with medication. But what people don't realise is that, if you didn't do that, these people would die. So I'm going to say this to you now. So, millions and millions, well, in England anyway, 23 million appointments for cancer treatment have been lost this year due to Covid-19. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people are walking around like ticking time bombs. People won't tell you that because they think you have no right to know. This vaccine, people are dying of the vaccine. It's proof. I went on NHS, can I join in to help with these trials and that? And there was over 160 different trials going on at the moment for just Covid-19. Why? Because they allowed it out. I said to people at the start of this, repatriation of anyone should not happen. The Chinese said, look, leave the people here, we'll deal with it here. The rest of the world went, no, we want our citizens back. So what happened? Those citizens came back, but they came back with Covid-19. I don't know how much more evidence you need than to see that this whole thing is a scam to kill off those that are vulnerable. It's not to protect them, because if it was to protect them, they would be telling them you have to take extra precautions. We're going to make sure that you get your chemotherapy because you need it. We're going to make sure you get the tablets you need for your diabetes. Otherwise, you're a ticking time bomb. Your autoimmune system has failed. But the thing is, the biggest failure of it all is the failure for the world governments to turn around and tell you and me. Some say, I wish you were a doctor, and, when you say all these things and conspiracy theorists, it makes no difference what doctor you are. If you took the Hippocratic oath, right, that you have to spew out once you become a doctor, a proper doctor, yeah? You are going against the rules and regulations of that oath. I mean, I could just call it spiel, like people spiel it out all the time, like, you know what I mean? But why didn't the governments tell you that you could be living with someone who you may not see in 6 months' time because their autoimmune system is being targeted by Covid-19. Why didn't they tell you? I mean, if that was me, I would have turned around and said, if you have someone in your family who you think is more vulnerable than everyone else, isolate them, protect them, look after them. We didn't do that. We went out and went mad. The West went completely nuts. There is such a thing as herd immunity, but that's only for the fit and healthy. Now if you're over 45, there's do not resuscitate. That's fine then. I'll take my chances. I'd rather lay under a tree one day and say, that's it, I've had enough, than go to any hospital where they have failed. They have failed every single person they said they were going to protect. Why? 23 million appointments for cancer patients missed. These people are now dying. If you've got Antiphospholipid Syndrome and you're not taking an anticoagulant, you're in serious trouble. If you have lupus, you're in serious trouble. If you have diabetes, another blood-borne pathogen, and you don't get your medication, you are in serious trouble. It sickens me. It really sickens me that people are going around saying this, that and the other, yeah, without caring about their own people. Yeah? When I said it attacks the oxygen in the blood, I wasn't joking. I wasn't kidding. I was wondering. And bam, I got it right. If you have any moral compass left in your lives, the governments of this world, that is, you should be out there telling people how dangerous it is and how many people are likely to die from this because you didn't tell them the truth. It's a flu. It's not a flu. It's an airborne pathogen that attacks your autoimmune system. That is a fact. Over 1,500 journal articles, peer-reviewed by other scientists, tell you that's a fact. If you think for 1 minute this information wasn't going to get out there somehow, you must have been off your tree. You've lied, you've locked people down, you've allowed them to go out and eat here, but not eat indoors. That makes no sense. You killed the economy the first lockdown. Now you're going to kill it again. Why? Because you don't know. And nor do your scientists. But proper immunologists are telling you, no, COVID-19 is more than that. It affects certain people. And those certain people just so happen to have blood problems. Get a grip, world. Tell the truth. Don't lie no more. People's lives are at stake. How can I help save someone, yeah, if I don't know the full facts? Who else in this list are you not telling us about? Over 45, do not resuscitate. I'm happy, because if this is the world we're going to have to live in for the next 20 years, I'd rather not be here. I would rather not be here. Because you lie, you manipulate, you cheat. all for your own goal. Yes, if you don't have cancer, you will survive. Yes, if you don't have lupus, you will survive. Yes, if you don't have diabetes, you will survive. Yes, if you don't have Antiphospholipid Syndrome, you will survive. Now think about those vulnerable people you said we need to protect. And tell them. Tell them the truth. Stop messing about with people's lives. It's not just your life, but it's the life that they leave behind. The children, the grandchildren. If we're going to protect these people, we need to protect them correctly. We can only do that with hard facts. And they're there. And you knew all along. 18 months you've been studying this. And you think everyone is an idiot? Well, you're wrong.